Today we're diving into one of the most emotional and beautifully tragic arcs in Chainsaw Man, the Reze, or Bomb Girl arc. So let's jump straight in. I'll be explaining the entire Reze arc in under 15 minutes. So let's begin. So, the story picks up right after the Katana Man arc. Denji's standing in the street, still dazed and blushing from his time with Makima. He's head over heels, thinking life might finally be settling into something like happiness. As he walks through the city, he passes a charity stand, donates a little cash, and gets a single flower in return. Feeling proud of himself, he chews on the flower, because he's Denji, and walks away smiling. Then it starts raining. Denji runs for cover into a phone booth, where suddenly a girl rushes in, laughing and apologizing. Her laughter turns into tears, and she says his face reminds her of her dead dog. Denji awkwardly gags up the flower he just ate and hands it to her, trying to comfort her. She laughs again and thanks him. When the rain clears, she invites him to visit her workplace, a little cafe called Futamichi. Denji shows up the next day. The girl puts on her apron and notices him sitting there waiting for her. She joins him, orders 2 coffees, and starts talking like they're old friends. She introduces herself as Reze. Denji can barely keep it together. She's funny, sweet, and actually paying attention to him. As they talk, he admits he can't read very well, and that the only kanji he can write is balls. She cracks up laughing. Then, almost playfully, she invites him to join her night school class. Blushing and nervous, Denji agrees. Meanwhile, Aki's out on patrol with the Angel Devil. The two don't get along at all. Angel complains about working, saying he'd rather die than put in effort, while Aki tries to focus on killing devils and earning enough respect to join the Gun Devil task force. Through flashbacks, we learn that Angel's touch drains people's life force and that Makima considers him one of the most powerful hunters after Kishibe. But Angel doesn't care about teamwork or humanity. He sees humans as people who should suffer when they die. It's a weird, cold partnership. Back to Denji. He can't stop thinking about Reze. He keeps going back to the cafe every day, trying to understand what he's feeling. He knows he's supposed to love Makima, but Reze makes him feel something different, something warmer and real. At the same time, somewhere else, a scarred man is talking to the Typhoon Devil through a sink full of water. He's part of a contract to hunt Denji and take the Chainsaw Devil's heart. The Typhoon Devil's voice echoes out of the water, reminding him that the deal means full use of its powers in exchange for Denji's heart. Later that night, Denji meets Reze at the night school. The place is empty and quiet. She acts scared, so she asks to hold his hand. He agrees, feeling guilty about Makima, but too overwhelmed to resist. In the classroom, she pretends to teach him things like 1 + 1 = 2, and even how to write Big Dumpy in English. It's silly, but Denji's having the time of his life. Reze teases him about his job, saying being a devil hunter isn't exactly a good life. Denji just shrugs, saying it gives him food and a bed. What else does he need? She tells him those are the bare minimum, that people deserve more than just survival. Then she drags him outside and says, "Let's go swimming." She strips completely, laughing, and Denji, flustered and confused, jumps in too, even though he doesn't know how to swim. She teaches him, and for the first time, Denji feels like a normal boy having fun. When it starts raining again, they run back inside, and she asks him if he'd rather be a city mouse or a country mouse. Cut to Aki and Angel again. They're having the same conversation. Angel says he'd rather be a country mouse, living simply even if life's harder. He tells Aki that Makima forced him into city life. Aki, though, says he's fine being a city mouse. Denji feels the same way when he answers Reze. She smiles and invites him to a food festival the next day. Reze leaves Denji alone for a bit, but on her way down the hallway, she's confronted by that scarred man from earlier. He tells her she's nothing but bait for Denji and threatens to peel her face off. Reze moves fast. She flips behind him, chokes him out effortlessly, and sings a sweet Russian lullaby while killing him. Then she looks down at a nearby drain, where the Typhoon Devil is hiding, and calmly orders it to clean up the body. She returns to Denji with a soft smile like nothing happened. The next day, that evening, Denji and Reze go to the festival. They laugh, eat junk food, and climb a hill to watch fireworks. Reze turns to him and says, "Let's run away together. Quit devil hunting. I'll make you happy." Denji's torn. He's tempted, but he tells her he's finally found something good in his life. Friends like Aki and power, a real home, and a purpose. Reze smiles sadly, asks if there's someone else he likes, and kisses him. But during that kiss, she bites off his tongue. Denji falls backward in shock. Before he can pull his chainsaw cord, she slices off his hand, leans close, and apologizes, saying she needs his heart. But before she can finish him, Beam, the shark fiend, bursts through the floor like an absolute hero. He grabs Denji and flees down the hill. As they escape, Beam curses himself for not recognizing Reze's scent earlier. She smells like a bomb, and he's right. Reze pulls the pin on her choker, and her head and arm explode before reforming into her Bomb Devil hybrid form. She launches herself after them, explosions propelling her through the air like a missile. She lands in front of Beam, demanding he hand Denji over. He refuses, transforming into a giant shark monster, but she just touches his face and detonates an explosion that sends him flying. Nearby, a group of private devil hunters try to interfere. She snaps her fingers and they explode instantly. She's completely unstoppable. Beam barely manages to get Denji to safety before collapsing from his injuries. At the same time, Aki's training other hunters at headquarters. Suddenly, Beam bursts in carrying a mangled Denji, yelling that a bomb devil is coming. He says the bomb devil is working with the gun devil. Aki's shocked, then notices a girl approaching the facility, Reze, in her human form. She pretends she was attacked by a devil, asking for help. But Nomo catches her smiling and says something feels off. Reze realizes they won't let her through peacefully. She sighs, saying she'll have to massacre them all. Before she can detonate, two hunters use their devil powers to fill her heart and lungs with mold, making her cough blood. They think they've trapped her, but she blows off her own head, throws it like a grenade, and it explodes mid-air. The head reforms, the body reattaches, and she resumes her full bomb devil form. Within seconds, the hunters are dead. The division lieutenant summons the fox devil to swallow her whole, but the fox vanishes, too scared to fight her. She continues her slaughter. Aki knows they can't stop her, so he loads Denji and Beam into a car with Angel and tries to escape. He tells Angel to give Denji blood, but before they can drive off, Aki sees a terrifying vision from the future devil, a warning of death nearby. Then Reze appears in the road, holding the severed heads of Nomo and the lieutenant. Calmly, she asks them to hand over Denji and leave. Aki ignores her and speeds away. She lands on top of the car, about to blast it, but then the violence fiend suddenly drop-kicks her off the vehicle. Reze recovers fast and clashes with the violence fiend, complementing his strength but easily holding her own. Kabane tries to help, but she's injured and terrified. She ends up crying and begging for her life. Reze spares her and chases after Denji's car again. Aki's still driving, but Reze rockets through the sky, landing on a truck behind them. She's ready to blow the car apart when Denji suddenly wakes up, gasping for air. That's where the chaos really begins. The fight in the car explodes into chaos. Denji refuses to listen to Aki's warnings and pulls his starter cord. Chains burst from his arms and head as he transforms into the chainsaw devil, shredding through the wrecked vehicle and launching himself straight at Reze. She faces him head-on in her bomb devil form, the air shaking with every step. Denji yells that every woman he's ever met has tried to kill him, demanding to know why everyone wants the chainsaw's heart but not him. Reze hesitates. She tells him her feelings for him were real. For a moment, Denji falters, until Aki yells from behind, snapping him back to focus. Reze, smirking, says Denji doesn't need her anyway. He already has Makima. She admits that if Makima still controls him, then running away together would have meant nothing. That hits a nerve. Denji growls that he doesn't want anyone else dying because of him. He's not killing Reze. He's going to capture her instead. The two clash again, tearing through buildings. Explosions light the night sky as the city becomes a battlefield. A single mistake leaves Denji half destroyed, and Reze still taunts him mid-fight. She lets him cut off one of her fingers, which immediately explodes in his face. Buildings crumble. Civilians flee. Amid the chaos, Aki hides among the rubble, waiting for a chance to strike. When Reze passes by, he leaps up, slicing off her arm and grabbing Denji's body before she can finish him. But the future devil's warning flashes in his head. He dodges as Reze fires another blast, the explosion shaking the entire block. The violence fiend dives in, pulling Aki to safety just in time. Reze wipes the blood from her mouth and laughs. "Time out," she says. 2 against 1 isn't fair. Violence fiend almost agrees, but Aki refuses flatly. It's a trick. Seconds later, a massive typhoon devil bursts through a nearby building, roaring as it joins the fight on Reze's side. Elsewhere in the debris, the angel devil drains life from dying civilians, giving some of that blood to revives Denji. Angel tells Denji he's got a choice: die and give Reze his heart, or kill her. Denji thinks for a second, then says, "Easy choice, I'll kill her." Worried about Reze's strength, he asks for advice. Angel looks at Beam, who grins and says Denji should use his chainsaws to swing around, like grappling hooks. Denji's eyes light up at the idea. He grabs Beam, rides on his back, and uses his chains as reins. Angel calls it insane, but Denji just laughs and tells Beam to charge. They crash into the Typhoon Devil. Slicing through wind and debris, the battle turns into a blur of water, smoke, and fire. Denji cuts off Reze's leg, but Typhoon heals her instantly. The two devils shout and laugh like maniacs, both thrilled by the chaos. Nearby, Aki and Angel cling to a street sign to avoid being blown away. Angel loses his grip and tells Aki to let go, that he's accepted death. But Aki grabs his hand anyway, pulling him back, even though Angel's touch drains away more of his lifespan. Angel yells at him, asking why he'd do that. Aki says he's done watching people die right in front of him. He won't let it happen again. Down below, Denji carves the Typhoon Devil to pieces. Reze reappears, launching an explosion that sends him and Beam crashing into the ground. When Denji crawls from Beam's mouth, bloodied but alive, he sees Reze waiting for him on a rooftop. The final showdown begins. She tells him to give up. Denji refuses. She flicks her fingers, and his right arm explodes. She walks closer, asking him to accept death, saying he has nowhere left to run. Denji just grins and says she's wrong, then nods toward the ocean behind them. He reminds her she was the one who taught him how to swim. Denji's already looping a chain from his shoulder to his forearm, using it as a weapon. He whips the chain around Reze, pulling her in and diving backward off the building, dragging both of them into the sea. Underwater, Reze can't ignite her bombs. The two sink together as bubbles rise to the surface. Morning comes quietly. On a beach, Denji lies in the sand next to an unconscious Reze and a snoring Beam. She wakes up human again, exhausted and bruised. She asks why he saved her. Denji shrugs, saying he did it for himself. If she died, it'd haunt him forever. Reze warns him she could kill him easily. He smiles and says, "If I die, I want it to be by a beautiful woman." She laughs, then claims she never really liked him, that it was all an act. But when she stands to leave, Denji calls after her, asking to run away together. He tells her that even if her feelings were fake, she still taught him how to swim, and that meant something. Reze pauses for a long moment, then she leans down, smiles, and suddenly snaps his neck before walking off. Even lying broken on the ground, Denji calls out one last time, inviting her to meet him at the cafe at noon if she changes her mind. Later that day, Aki and Kishibe oversee cleanup operations. Kishibe tells Aki an old Soviet story about experiments on children, turning them into weapons. He says it's real. Reze was one of them, codenamed Moro. Meanwhile, Reze sits at a train station, ready to escape, but she hesitates. Instead of boarding, she turns back toward the cafe Denji mentioned. She walks through the rain, smiling softly, maybe actually planning to see him again. As she turns into an alley, mice scurry across her feet, climbing into a swirling column. The mass of mice shifts, and out steps Makima, calm and smiling. She says she prefers the country mouse from Reze and Denji's earlier conversation, the one who enjoys sneaking into the city and taking what isn't theirs. Reze reaches for her choker pin, but before she can pull it, her arm explodes into mist. From above, the angel devil throws a spear that impales Reze through the heart. As she falls, blood spilling down her front, Makima takes her hand gently. Reze looks toward the cafe in the distance and thinks about Denji. She remembers how happy she'd been during their first meeting. The rain, the laughter, the swim. Maybe she hadn't killed him that night because deep down, she'd felt the same kind of excitement he did, the kind that felt almost human. Makima quietly tells the angel devil he should have brought Aki, but admits it's better this way. He wouldn't have liked killing a woman, she says. Angel agrees, looking down at a small mouse crawling near Reze's hand. He asks softly if the city is really such a nice place. At the cafe, Denji waits, holding a bouquet of flowers. The owner tells him not to worry, that another girl will come along someday. Denji forces a smile. The bell over the door rings, and Power bursts in, yelling that she followed his scent. Denji sighs. She sees the flowers and assumes they're for her, demanding he hand them over. When he does, she stuffs them into her mouth, chomping down proudly. Denji just laughs weakly, and that's how the Reze arc ends. Quietly, tragically, with Denji back where he started. The girl who might have given him something normal is gone, and all he's left with is the same aching emptiness.